All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to I'm gonna switch this to episodes because day by day it's not really it's not working out as well as I thought it was gonna work. So today is, I think, episode 5, the 5th video in the series, and we just finished week 2. So today's pretty interesting because today a few things are gonna happen. Number one, I'm gonna show you the results of all the advertising that we've done. So we've spent about $500 on advertising, we've generated leads. And some of those leads are potentially going to go forward in the next process, which is booking an appointment. So I want, we'll talk about basically the monetization of everything we've done so far. So we've done some work. Now the big question is, how are we going to make money from that? And that's what I want to show you, go through. And again, ultimately, I'm really doing this for myself, but I thought it would be fun to show you how I do it, because one, it'll kind of give you insight into some of the things that I'm able to do and that I've been doing for the last so many years. But also, if you have a small business or you want to start a business, or something along the lines of you're trying to grow your business, whether it's yours or somebody else's, this is content that I mean, it's not really content, it's information, it's resources, it's knowledge that will help you do that. So um let me dive into it as always, and I'm gonna just jump through a few pages because um hold on. I literally make this mistake every time. All right, that's a little bit better, right? Okay. So a few things. I'm gonna go through this in a sec, but I'm gonna go through the process in a second, but I'm gonna go through it on like a new area. I am trying to um get better video, so I'm working on it. If you guys, I don't know, I'm like, it's harder than I thought it would be, but if you guys know how to do that, great. Most importantly, if you have questions about the series so far, please comment them right now. Do it right now in the video or the comment section below, because then I know how to make this better. I want this to be as valuable for you as possible. So when you let me know what's working, what's not working, then I know how to change the information up to really make fit your needs. So, okay, let's do this. I'm going to drive over here. So to kind of quickly recap, let me make sure this works. Great, it doesn't work. This literally happens every time. Oh, it does work. All right, awesome, nice. How do I switch to racer? All right, so when we started this whole thing, the whole point of this was, let me just see how the area that I could draw this in. All right, I want to make sure I fit this area. All right, cool. Um, so when we started this whole thing, the whole point was to generate leads and ultimately generate find people who are willing to get a procedure done, and get those people to go visit a doctor that we're partnered with. So the way we're doing that, the first thing that I kind of talked about was creating what's called a sales process, right? And the sales process is ultimately, what are all the steps that allow us to find a new patient, tell them something, get them to act, and move them from the journey of new patient to they've completed a procedure, right? So if you think about it in terms of a journey, it's literally um, the first thing they see is an ad, right? Advertisement, and this has been so far Facebook and Instagram has been the two that we've been really focusing on. Okay, you can see it, perfect. Then the next thing that they see is a landing page, right? And that's ultimately an opt-in page, right? Opt-in page. It's also known as a squeeze page, right? It's that when they go to that website, they either subscribe to it, or they just leave the page. There's no other option. They're not looking for more information. And that's by intent, right? I want them to make a decision right there or not, right? So once they get that landing page, we receive I mean, let's say Google Sheets. That's basically like our CRM. It's not really a step, it's kind of just like what happens, but like we get that information. And then once we get the information, we call them, right? So there's a phone call. So initial, sorry, I don't know why this is like kind of hard to, it's lagging a little bit. Initial call. So on that initial call, and I'm going to show you some of, I'm going to try to show you as much as I can. Again, there's like, now we're dealing with patient data, so I can't really show everything. Like obviously there's some private information here, but I can show you some of the things that we're learning on those calls and why it's important. So, I'll get to that. I'll come back to that in a second. So once the initial call happens, then there's coordination with the doctor. It's not the doctor, it's really the doctor's office, right? So imagine for a second, um, you know, if I'm the person that I saw the ad, right? And then I visited the website and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So I opt in. I give my name, email, phone number, and then I receive a call and it's about my knee pain, right? So someone on the phone is telling me, hey, listen, we heard you inquired about this new procedure for knee pain. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on. Like, how can we help you? So that's what that initial call is. And again, I'll show you what the results of those calls are and what people are saying. But assuming that that call goes well, right, then our job next is to coordinate with the doctor's office and say, hey, listen, we have this patient. They have XYZ problem. They've tried XYZ as like solutions and they're looking for something else. Can you guys schedule them in your system? And, we're giving them a patient, so they're not going to say no. Um, that's what happens next. And then, so coordination with the office. And then there's, you know what? Oh no. Hold on. And then the next, oh my God. The next step would be um scheduling the actual appointment. So this is where the office's job is to schedule the appointment, and they're letting us know, hey, listen, this patient was scheduled, and now we're going to see them on July 14th, for example, right? And we're like, okay, so now if we go back to our CRM, right, it's really our tracking system. So we're going back and we're saying, okay, like, and again, I'll show you all this. We're going back and we're saying, okay, on the 14th, this patient has a appointment. On the 14th, we'll call the office again and say, hey, listen, we just want to make sure that this patient showed up, blah, blah, blah. And then the office will tell, maybe on the 15th, we'll call it like the day after, right? Then the office will eventually tell us, hey, look, like the patient is great and they booked a procedure, right? Oh shit. Right? Booked or they scheduled the procedure, which is the ultimate goal that we're trying to accomplish for them. Or they said, they weren't really interested, right? No matter what, if that appointment happens, I mean, technically, actually, this would be, can so I just changed it a little bit because technically there's the show up appointment, right? Um, First they have to schedule the appointment and then they have to show up. If they don't show up, obviously that's a problem. And then book a procedure, which is the ultimate goal. So that's kind of like the process from A through Z that we are working on, right? And to kind of add like some numbers to this so you better understand it, like think about it like this, like from from a from a number standpoint, maybe 1,000 people. Why is this always? Okay, maybe 1,000 people actually see the ad, right? But then only, actually, let me make it a little bit more simple. Let's say this. Let's say 100 people actually click on the ad, right? Thousands are going to see it, but only a few of them are actually going to click on the ad, right? So 100 people click on the ad, and then that means there's 100 people that make it to the website, but only 10% of people, right, actually give their information. So now we're left with 10 people, right? And that means we have 10 people on in our, like, 10 leads in our system, and we can make 10 calls, and maybe only, again, right, I think it's about, we have a lot that, because it's been the weekend, that we haven't called yet. But let's just say, for example, 50% of them pick up the phone, right? So now we're left with five. Okay. And then let's say like 50% of those actually are interested in something, right? So now we're left with, I mean, technically it's 2.5, but obviously you can't have half of a person, so it would either be round up or round down, really doesn't matter. And then after all the coordination, maybe again, usually the numbers start to go up as you get further along in the process. 80%, I'm just gonna say 80%. I don't actually know what the numbers are, but you've got, what, let me just say this. Um, my math ain't math in here. But ultimately, what I'm trying to do here is like get to one person here, right? So, I mean, maybe again, I don't know if, like, right now we have like 35 leads. Let me do this. Let me make the numbers a little bit better. Here, bear with me for a second, and I'll actually make it work. I'll use the actual number. So I think we have, here, I'll just pull it from here. So, all right, so we got 49 leads. We spent like 500 bucks, and we're at $10 per lead. Okay, excuse me. So like, where's the link clicks? Okay, so check this out. So, um, let me do this. Let me make this super simple. Because this is like ultimately like probably one of the most important pieces of this. Right? So if you look at this, impressions, that's how many people saw it. So 16,000 people saw the ad. But like I said before, not everyone is going to actually click on the ad. The number of people that actually clicked it was just under 500, right? Which is 3% of people who see the ad. So we have, what is it here? What was it? 480 something? Oh, 493. I have it highlighted. Duh. So 493 people actually clicked the ad, right? And then of that, we got 49 leads, right? 49 um leads, which is like, I mean, it's roughly 10%, right? So 10% is 49 leads. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. So clicks is 493, 10% actually opted into the page, so we have 49 leads, and that means we have 49 people in our system. Again, we have, I can't, let me stop sharing for a second, and then I'll bring it back. That way you guys can see this. So how do I do this without screwing things up? Okay, I have an idea. I have an idea. I have an idea. I'm gonna make a copy. Sorry, I'm just making sure there's nothing that you guys can't see. We're just trying to protect information here, though. That's literally it. Okay, I mean, this should be fine. Because I don't really think there's anything here. But this is pretty cool stuff. So like if you're still watching this, I appreciate you. I mean, honestly, it's really for you more than it is for me, because I'm the one who knows how to do this stuff. So um if you can benefit from it, then awesome. All right, all right, all right. Where is my screen? Okay, so I just took out so here's a few things. We have the person's name, their email, the phone number, insurance, what the problem is, location that they're from, the doctor that we're going to send it by, um, like just making sure that it was received, booking an appointment, and then like comments and notes, right? So basically, we're getting this information, right? So, and there's all these leads over here that came this weekend that we have not followed up with yet, that we have to follow up starting tomorrow. But like just as an example, right? Um, some of them, like this one's looking for cream. Of the lead, if we go back to the page, right? Um, in that scenario, we had this initial call, but not all of them are going to even be qualified, right? Like at this point, because the next stage of this process is to coordinate the doctor's office, we're looking for individuals who are interested in learning more about the procedure that we are sharing with them, right? So let's just say, for example, on those initial calls, which if there's 49 people, maybe only like 80% will pick up or even be able to get coordinated with. So if we just do 49 times 0.8, that's four, let's call it 39, right? So that's 39 people that even pick up the phone, right? So we're at every stage you're going to lose some, and that's totally normal. That's what I want to show with you. And then of that, maybe 80% are actually interested in or qualified for this thing, right? And they're like willing to do something about it. So now we go from 39 again times 0.8. So now we're at 31, right? So we started with almost 500 and now we're at 31. You keep that in mind, right? That's really important, and you'll see how this all works later, right? So now the next part of this is scheduling an appointment. Maybe only 50% schedule an appointment. Let's just call it 15. And then usually again the numbers start to stay higher towards the end of this, and they're like 10% is normal in the beginning. I mean, that's low but more expected. I would expect to see like 60, 70, 80% or higher later on. Like even 50%. I think that's pretty low, but I'm just trying to be a little bit generous here. Um, Showed up for an appointment, let's say it's 80%. So we have 0.8 times 15. That's 12 people that showed up. And then let's say like 50%, let's just make it really like super conservative. Of the 12, let's say 20% show up. So that's two people, right? That's two procedures. Right? So again, if we go back to this whole thing, we started out with almost 500 people and we ended up with two, right? And the way the math works on this is like you might think, okay, we spent $500, that's a lot of money. I'm not saying it's not a lot of money, but how much will that $500 make you? That's the question that we're trying to answer. So again, it was just under 500, but we spent about 500 to generate those 493 visits, right? Those clicks. And we lost 90% of them over here. Here, I'll do this in red. 90% we lost. Come on. 90% lost here. We lost 20% here. We lost 20% here. We lost 50% here. We lost 20% here. And then we lost 80% here, right? So the whole point of those numbers is to look for stuff like this, which is pretty high, and go back and say, okay, why did we lose? Why is this so not? This is like weird. Why did we lose 90% there? Why did we lose 80% here? Right. And I'm looking for like the leaky like the holes ultimately in the sales process, because when I have to go spend my time to go fix this, I'm going back into those areas and I'm saying, okay, like there's clearly potential here, right? There's clearly potential here, and there's clearly potential over here. So I'm going to go focus my time on those two areas. Yes, we do have room for improvement here, but in terms of leverage, like what's like the bottleneck in the funnel, that's what I'm going after, right? So up until this point, we basically have everything up until this point, right? So I know, for example, that our landing page, it's converting about 10%, which is low, right? It's not bad, but it's definitely not great. Like I would expect this to be, I think I told you in one of the previous videos, I expect this to be 20-30%, right? We have leads inside of Google Sheets, which is great. We're getting these leads for about $10. It's called cost per lead, which is like on target. That's exactly what we want. And when we started this, we were at like $20. So to go from $20 to $10, that's a huge difference, because if ultimately the simple version of it is, if we were paying $20 a lead, that means our conversion was like 5%, which was half. It was probably a little bit over, it was like 6. I think I remember it being like 6. So it was closer to 20%. And then we were paying more per click. I'll go into, if you're interested in, like, there's so much data to go through when it comes to the advertising. So if you're interested to know about that, that's a whole other video. Just comment and I'll make something about it. But again, like the whole point is, if you can get this number up and you're not spending too much per click, you're going to have a low cost per lead, right? So I know that people are picking up the phone because we have all of those calls with notes, and I know that the doctors are coordinating because we've already coordinated a few. Again, I'll go back and show you, like, actually I didn't have it here, but there are several appointments that are booked, right? So that's a great sign for us, because now I know that we're not bringing in bogus leads. Like we have leads that are going to actually provide value to these patients. Even if they don't get a procedure, the doctor is going to make money on the visit, right? So it's a win no matter what. But if they can get a procedure, now we're like really in a great spot. So schedule an appointment. So the rest of it, I don't necessarily know. I think by the end of the 3rd week, I'll know this. Like the information about whether they are showing up to their appointments and actually booking a procedure. It might take 2 weeks to do this. I'm not 100% sure. But the good thing is, now we're starting to get some of the initial data that shows us, okay, like on the lead generation side, we're generating leads. Our target, which was a $10 cost per lead, we are hitting that target, which is perfect. That's what we want to do. And that's what's going to allow us to generate more leads and ultimately book more procedures. Now we have to wait a little bit to see what happens with these leads. We're going to keep generating them, because at the end of the day, this is sales. It's a volume game, right? So we need more volume to generate more appointments. More appointments means more procedures. It's as simple as that, right? So over this week, that's what I'm going to do. But also I'm going to start to tweak things. Like I'm going to go into the advertisements and I'll show you guys the ads and say, hey, look, like this is what's going on with the ads. Like these are, I showed you, like on the landing page, we have 10% opt-in. That's pretty low. So for this week, I'm probably going to spend time optimizing the landing page to get that from 10% to 20%. If I can get it to 20%, then I'm going to half my lead cost, right? Or more. If we're getting $5 leads, we're going to crush it. It's not going to even be like, it's going to be so good. So anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself. This is a week 2 recap, and the goal for week 3 now. So now that we're generating the leads, my goal is I want to start focusing on monetization, right? I know that we've proven that this can work. It is working, which is perfect. Now we got to make money from it. So I'm going to start working on having conversations with doctors, and ultimately figuring out like how much value can we provide, right? And healthcare is a little unique with lead generation because you're not allowed to charge per lead, but that's ultimately the question I need to answer in this 3rd week. So if you're still watching this series, I appreciate you guys for staying in tune with this. Please share it. It's something that I'm spending a lot of time doing to make sure that I can share the value with you. So if you find it valuable, share it with a friend. And yeah, and then the comments. The comments are also really important, right? Share with a friend so that you can so it spreads awareness, and then comment any questions or anything that you might be interested in, because then I know how to focus my time and make better and better videos. So I'm open to any and all feedback, but that's week 2. Let's try to make some money in week 3. I think we're close.